Who does she think she is? A romance author? She's a mother. A podcast? Seriously? Another book? What episode are we even on? Here's what you really need to know. Stephanie doesn't just write stories. She invites others to tell theirs. They say everybody has a past. She thinks everyone has a story. And she wants to hear them all. This is Storytelling with Stephanie.
Welcome back to Storytelling with Stephanie, the podcast where we dive into stories of resilience, transformation, and passion. I'm joined today by Dr. Kat, my chiropractor, who is an amazing, devoted mom of 3, a wellness advocate, and someone I personally admire. She bakes her own bread, and a fellow author. Dr. Kat, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to chat. Let's start a little bit by talking about your background.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm originally from Poland. I came here when I was 11. I went to undergrad here in New Jersey at Rutgers University. I was very excited to study human nature, human form. So initially I was a pre-med at Rutgers, a biology major, and then slowly I realized that may not be my passion. And so I switched to an anthropology degree, and I really loved studying human history and design, and then realized very quickly that I somehow need to marry my passion for medicine and human form but be a little bit more hands-on and less allopathic. And so my dad suggested to look into chiropractic, and I went and shadowed a female chiropractor who had 2 of her kids running around the office. And I thought, wow, what a wonderful career for a woman to be able to bring her kids to work with her and do it on her terms, you know? And so I've loved my career ever since. But yeah, it's been a wonderful journey.
Well, we love you, and we always reap the benefits. We're very grateful to that. And I'd like to ask a little bit about the Gonstead method, because when I was doing research for my own chiropractic journey, all these different things come up, and you kind of are overwhelmed with and bombarded with information on what's the best method. This method, from the moment I researched it and then heard other people's testimonials, it's resonated with me. Why do you think that is? And tell us a little bit about the Gonstead method.
So the Gonstead method is the most specific technique in chiropractic that you can do. Basically, there is different techniques within chiropractic care, and they focus on different things. So your general chiropractor, for the most part, will do a technique called diversified, meaning they take a little bit of everything and kind of glue it together, but it's generally not very specific. There's a lot of rotation when they adjust. There's usually no x-rays that are involved, and there's no thermography study, which means they're not checking for like a nerve pinch or like inflammation in the spine when they're examining the spine. And the adjustment, it's just not very specific. So the Gonstead method was developed after Dr. Clarence Gonstead, and he was just obsessed with specificity and making sure that the adjustment is basically performed in a way that serves anatomy. So he was huge into studying anatomy, studying the human form, and he said, okay, if we're going to do this, let's do this the best way possible. And so he developed a technique where there's the least rotation possible. So when you are realigning a segment, you are not rotating the spine at the same time, and it basically helps to avoid any disc injuries or ligament injuries. And so when we are already dealing with a misaligned segment that has potentially a swollen disc, there's inflammation there, there's ligament injury there, we want to make sure that we are very careful in how we reposition that segment and how we sort of honor the structures surrounding that area. And so we are not twisting the spine. We're doing very specific counting of the segment. We're looking at the x-ray, honoring how the spine is, is for that person. So to tailor the adjustment for that person, for that x-ray, not just do a general kind of, very quick adjustments. There's very few Gonstead chiropractors out there. Only about 2% of all the chiropractors end up doing Gonstead because it is so difficult to chiropractic skills. I don't know if you hear my daughter, I apologize.
Oh, no, not at all.
So chiropractic is difficult because it is a skill, just kind of like your surgeon has a skill, your ballet dancer has a skill, right? So every doctor will be different, but the Gonstead chiropractor really focuses on their skill. So they want to be the best performer, the best adjuster, the best hand-skilled physician, okay? So Gonstead doctors, we jokingly call ourselves the Gondroids because we are so obsessed with delivering the best adjustment.
I love that.
And it is very, very hard. It takes many, many years to develop. And the reason why there's so few of us is because even in chiropractic school, when we, go to extra seminars to learn about this technique and we spend our own weekends learning and going to seminars, very few, even Gonstead chiropractors in the beginning, end up doing it because it is so difficult. So it's really hard to finish with it and continue to do it for your patients, even though you may have learned it in school. So if 10 students graduate chiropractic school and say they will end up doing Gonstead, only 1 or 2 will actually end up doing it 5 years after. So it is the most specific technique. You're going to get the best standard of care within chiropractic with Gonstead, and you're going to most likely get a doctor of chiropractic that is obsessed about chiropractic and delivering the best adjustment. So we are constantly learning, constantly evolving, constantly going to seminars, trying to perfect, our skill in the adjustment. So we call it the art of the adjustment. It's really an art. It's a form of art to deliver it because it takes many, many years for our bodies to learn, the motion to adjust the patient, and every patient is different. So it takes a long time. And we are very proud to be doing Gonstead at our office. I'm very proud to be one of the few female Gonstead chiropractors to do it on kids. And then I'm very proud to, work on what we call extremities, which are hands and feet. And that is also above and beyond what most chiropractic offices will do, because it just takes more time and you don't get paid for it. It is like a free service that we normally do. So most chiropractors will not even look into it, but I just love helping people and I want to fix everything. So I spend a little bit of extra time to make sure I check shoulders, elbows, wrists, knees, and toes every time, because kids run around, they fall, they get a little misalignment and then they don't even feel it until it's too late and something big has happened. So we want to make sure that we are on top of it so that kids can play hard and not develop bigger injuries down the line.
I love it. And I'm obsessed with you. But you mentioned that kids are rough and tough, and I love that you also mentioned something which I think is very a theme in what I've noticed in your practice is that you shadowed another chiropractor and the kids were running around and it feels like a family. When you walk into your office, it's like family setting, and we've had situations where we've had to go to you guys in a hurry for myself or my child, and you always feel a sense of calm when you're with you guys, and we're okay. We're gonna be okay. Not that dreaded feeling you feel when you go to the doctors.
Yeah.
And that's what said, besides doing all my research on the Gonstead method, I think the energy that you and your husband, Dr. Grayson, put out into your office, it shows in everything you do. And it's that extra time. And I think you guys transfer that extra time, not only into the methods that you use, but into the extra time to make sure your patients are okay on every level, even energetically, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much. Really, really do try to deliver that to our patients. When we were building out our office initially, Dr. Grace and I were kind of designing it. And even in the design, I said, I want a lot of warm wood. So our floors are like a dark warm wood. We have barn doors. I said, I want the patient to come in and feel like they are coming into our living room and they just get to hang out with us. And we are there to help them feel good as soon as they walk in, and then during the adjustment, and then after the adjustment. So we try to create a very welcoming atmosphere. And then when it comes to, a calm energy, I will tell you that I feel so blessed because I get so re-energized at work. I'm postpartum now with my little 4-month-old, so I had to stay home for a few months after. And I just love going back to work. I feel like a new person serving people. And so every 10-20 minutes when I see patients, I just love helping people, because when I have students shadowing me, they get to tell me this too. They say, oh my gosh, you just spent 8 hours, it went by so fast, and you helped everyone, everyone felt better. I say yes, this is literally what I get to do. I feel so fortunate because I get to just welcome people into my space, help them with a problem, and honestly, extremely rarely do I not get to help them within 10 minutes of just touching them, you know? So whether it is speaking confidence to mom and saying, hey, it's okay, your boys are meant to play hard and they will get a little injured. It's okay as long as we get them back together so their bodies can heal. Put them back out there, let them keep playing, you know? Or if it's like a serious, you know, ankle injury. I just love helping people. And so I thank you for saying that you love our atmosphere, because
Oh, you
I
put me
really,
back together on multiple occasions throughout my motherhood journey. I don't have many mom friends, so that when I come to your office, I love to pick your brain,
Yeah.
and I feel very reassured, and I feel very, that's the perfect way to say it. You do put me back together sometimes. Sometimes I just come just to have a chat, honestly.
Yeah, but you know, we in chiropractic, we have this philosophy and it's called the 3 T's. It's called thoughts, trauma, toxins. So, thoughts is emotional stress. Okay, so a lot of the things that we deal with, especially with moms, especially with new moms, is just emotional stress. Okay, is my baby going to be okay? Can you help them? What should I do at home? How can I deal with the situation in a better way next time? So a lot of my job is just making sure that the moms or that my patients don't have emotional stress, taking that emotional stress from them, teaching them how to deal with emotional stress. Trauma is a physical trauma. So that's just, hey, you fell, your back is off, your neck is off, you woke up funny, I'm gonna put you back together, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna give you some at-home instructions. And then toxins is me educating you on all the chemical stress that may be coming into your life that you can, you better about. So better choices at the grocery store, better choices with your doctor, better choices shopping for their clothes or toys, things like that. So I'm trying to give you a whole spectrum of healthcare, okay, which means that I'm taking care of you in an emotional way, in a physical way, and in a chemical way. And then in that 10, 20 minute, 30-minute space that we have together, I'm trying to gauge, okay, what maybe the issue today, and I'm trying to kind of make sure that I address all of those things within that short amount of time, so that you come out saying, okay, wow, I know a plan for food, I'm gonna do better on breakfast for my baby, I'm going to put them to sleep this way, and I'm going to stop buying this food because it might make them more irritable. So it's beyond just an adjustment. We're trying to treat the whole person.
And you do. That's exactly what you do. As somebody who comes to you guys, my family comes to you. I trust you with my little baby from when he was 6 months old. And my own story, like on why I even found you, wasn't even for my child. It was for myself, because I had a botched epidural, as you know, and I couldn't get off the couch, like from a sitting to a standing position, until I came to you guys. And in one adjustment, I was better. Literally, like just to give context to the people who don't know, who are listening, I would sit on the couch and I wouldn't be able to stand up. I'd have to like roll on the floor, or like, my back, I have a slip disc, and because of the epidural, it just made everything so much worse. I don't know the technical term, so I'm probably butchering this.
Yeah.
But I was in so much pain, and like to hold my baby, and like he was a attached baby, barnacle baby.
Yeah.
And so I was walking around a lot. My back would be in agony for hours just trying to rock him to sleep. And after I came to you guys, I think it was one session, and I felt so much better. I remember like I was able to sit in the car. My mom was, oh my God, you're able to sit in the car without like a pillow behind you. I was, yeah. It's amazing. It's literally life-changing, because is this what happens after motherhood? Is this what I'm supposed to feel? And, and like your whole quality of health really impacts your mental health. Your physical health impacts your mental health. And we're already inundated enough with toxins, like you mentioned, and stress. And I dealt with plenty of that on my postpartum journey. And so once I came to you guys, it was a breath of fresh air. And that's how I felt, just like this weight lifted off my back.
Quite literally, yes. And for the most part, I would say honestly 90-95% of the time we get to help people within very few visits. And I think about all these other moms and dads and babies who don't know about us and who don't know about chiropractic and how much they suffer. And I see women, with their third child, they will come in pregnant with their third child to me, and they'll say, oh my gosh, and a few visits, you've helped me so much. I wish I knew about you before. And I just think, well, thank goodness you're here already. We'll take care of your family. But like, how many women don't get to see us, and how they suffer, and then what their course of health is down the line, how they get to cope with it and how it affects their mental stress. It could even affect how many babies they end up having, because if they're hurting, they're not gonna sign up for another baby, right? Because they're already so debilitated with pain and mental stress, and how are they going to work? And so yeah, chiropractic, or just generally having your body work for you so you don't have to think about it. You just get to do all the things that you love and don't have to worry about how am I going to sit, how am I going to roll off the couch, I'm in so much pain, and the mental load of experiencing pain and how it really just stresses everything. It stresses your hormones, it stresses how you metabolize everything. So yeah, I'm very fortunate for everyone that we get to help, but I always honestly feel for the people who don't know about chiropractic, and I wish they did, because I think it should be part of everyone's life. You should just visit your chiropractor like you do your dentist. You should just find a chiropractor that you really resonate with, that you love, and just check in a few times a year. It doesn't take that much.
And it's very quick, like you said, and it's very quick, and it's much better than going to the dentist. I would go to you guys every single day. The
It's a little
dentist
bit more pleasant, yeah.
is daunting even at my age still. I'm like, oh my God.
I know, me too.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
let alone my kid. Like, I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so chiropractic is very pleasant. And talking about, having a pleasant visit, parents always ask me when I do a little consult over the phone with them, a lot of times they will say, my child is very anxious, or they have a lot of anger issues. I don't think they will have a good time in your office, and I'm afraid of their reaction. I just don't want to deal with dragging them to your office and then fighting them to get adjusted. And I always tell them, like, listen, it is extremely rare that we have a kiddo who doesn't love getting adjusted. And if they don't love it, it's like such a brief phase that after a while, like after a few visits, they love it again. It's a normal, healthy anxiety about like, okay, what's about to happen, and they're thinking about it, and it's okay, especially for like a little toddler. But babies, toddlers, kids, everyone loves to get adjusted, and we always laugh with moms because they're just looking at their child, run into my room, run onto my, what we call a pelvic bench, which is the adjustment table. They run over there, lay on their belly, ready to get adjusted, and the parents are like, I would have never thought that my child, who had such anxiety about any doctor visit, going anywhere, any transitions, just loves to be here, is excited as soon as we pull up to your parking lot, runs into the room, and just has such a good time. And then we, get to reap the benefits of the, improved neurology, improved mechanics of the spine or ankles or anything like that. So yeah, I just love my job. I just love what I do. And I just feel so lucky. I'm like, I can't believe I would do it for free. Literally just yesterday, I think Dr. Grayson and I, we were driving somewhere or talking about something. And I said, I know what it was. We're having a family discount at the office. We're offering like a discounted care because we want to just basically just have no barriers for entry to our office. If it's about money, let's make it like really nothing. We're really getting nothing for that visit between the cost of the x-rays and me paying the front desk and keeping this, office rent. We're offering it basically for $0, right? And Dr. Green always says, I would just do my job for free. If I could just have the government pay me or someone pay me, I would do it for free. And I always say, I would also do it for free. I'm like, I love that we get paid for it, but I'm like, I would honestly do it for free. And so we always say to each other that we're going to be like 95, someone's going to wheel me, and I'm going to be this like old grandma who can't even walk anymore, and I'm going to be like adjusting babies, my memory might be gone. I'll be like, oh, a new baby, okay, I'll just adjust them, and someone's going to wheel me to another baby. Yeah, I love my job.
And she's being so serious, guys, because her and Dr. Grayson both, they love their jobs, and you could just tell when somebody, when you go into an office and like people are just like, they're all like unhappy and like slunched over. Like, this is not that office. From the front desk to Dr. Grayson to Dr. Kat, everyone is so happy to be there, and it's a healing place. It's a very healing place. And like you said, you love your job, and then that like transfers over to your patients, and you and Dr. Grayson are really a good team together. And I always I've said this to you guys both individually and together, but you guys, if one of you needs help with something, you both jump in. And I think that that's so admirable. And I've never seen a husband and wife duo be so entwined with each other. And you're so in tune with what the other needs. It's like, okay, you need this right now, I'm going to do this. And it's like magnets. You guys bend for each other. And I think it's so lovely to watch and inspirational for people.
Thank you. And we have a joke in the office that between, the two of us, we are one great doctor, so we get to help each other all the time. And if he needs me to adjust someone or I need him to adjust someone, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And so he gets to fill in where my weaknesses are and I get to fill in where his weaknesses are. And so you will get the best care out of both of us if needed. If we're both there, you're getting 100%.
Absolutely.
That's our philosophy, is that we're not, it's not about our ego or what we're good at, what we're bad at. Let's just help the patient and make sure that they are getting the best service possible that day so that they can heal better, feel better, and like put out into the world like the way that God intended.
Yes. And I think that because you operate from like a gratitude first mentality, I think that just shows everything like of your philosophy, of both of your philosophies on how you approach being a doctor, because that's just who you guys are. And I think that it's so real, and people, it's almost unbelievable. But like, I'm here to tell you, I've been in their office a million times, and it's very true. But you mentioned Dr. Grayson. So how is it working with your significant other for people? And you guys are together all day, and then you guys really, just for people like the audience, they really do like each other. They're that couple that really, they like each other. They actually enjoy being together, even after how long they're together all day. And I think that that's so amazing. So let's talk about that.
It is so true. I'll tell you how we've met. Okay, so I had a boyfriend of 6 years. I think I might have told you this story at the office. I had a boyfriend of 6 years here in New Jersey when I decided to move to chiropractic school. We drove across the country together. I got an apartment. And then within about 2 weeks, I went to school for our first class. And then the last day of week 1, I was standing in line and I happened to be standing next to Dr. Grayson, and we started chatting, and I thought, okay, this guy's kind of cool, but I'm dating someone. I'm not really looking to date anyone, so I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then that Monday, so day 1 of week 2, we go into class. We just had our first major quiz, and I'm like, okay, let's see who's who in the zoo. Let's see who really cares, right? And my anatomy professor says, everyone failed this test. Everyone got like a 30 out of 100. This is super bad. You guys need to really study. There's only been a few people who got 100. And I look at my results. I get 100. I'm like, okay, let's see who the other people are. Let's see who really cares, And Dr. Grayson happened to get the other 100, and there were very few others who got 100. So I go up to him like, hey, we are supposed to work in teams on the next couple projects. I would like to pair up with people who really, are putting in the effort and really care. And so he said, okay, we'll work together. I said, okay. So we got on Google Docs, and we're working together, and we're, chatting away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is so cool. And then we get another 100, and then like we start like, really understanding who the people are in the class. I'm like, this guy like really cares, and he has a military background. He doesn't really have a pre-med background. He's never taken like a anatomy class or a cadaver lab, and I've taken all of these classes already, which is why I think I'm doing well. But there's also other pre-med students here who are not doing well. So I'm like, this guy just has something special. So since basically day 1, we've been working together. Okay, so we've been teamed up since day 1, and so we would go to class together for 8 to 10 hours, then study together, cook together, do laundry together, walk our dog together. And then on the weekends, honestly, like this is like really hard to believe, but when we discovered the Gonstead technique, you have to go for a weekend seminar, so you mostly have to travel. So we would leave class like at 3 p.m. on Friday, and then show up somewhere like in California to a seminar at like 6 p.m., do like a Friday evening seminar, like 6 to 10 or whatever they did, the Saturday morning from like 8 to 6, and then Sunday like half a day or full day, and then still study for all of our exams, which are already extremely hard because you're taking like 28 credits at a time, which is like insane. And then do that for some semesters, we would do that every weekend for like 3 months. We would just show up, like we would never have a weekend off. And so not only did we, go to school together, we were living together, and then every weekend we were pursuing the same dream. And it's very hard and it's very challenging. So yeah, we never had a problem. And then when we opened our office, we are still working together, and we get home and we've been seeing each other at the office, but a lot of the time he's treating, I'm treating. And so we'll get home and it's like, oh, I missed you too. And then we like cannot not hang out, and we try to like put the kids to bed, so we still have like an adult 1 hour, where we get to like, hi, there's no kids screaming at us. How was your day? How are your patients? How did Stephanie do? What did you adjust on her? How's her little one? Oh my gosh, how's her mom doing? doing? Okay, that's good to know. How's this guy doing? How's his low back? Did he do better with this adjustment? Did you check his ankle? Yes, you did. So we just catch up on patients all the time, and we just love spending time together. But I think the analogy that I like to say for mine and Dr. Grayson's relationship is that we met at the base of a big mountain and we decided to climb it together, and we're looking at the same summit, and we're trying to climb it, and so it makes it easy because we have the same life goals.
Yes.
And we are both the same archetype. We're both healers, right? So it just makes it easy when we both see each other fulfill the life's mission. He sees me grow into my best self. I'm seeing him grow into his best self. And so we are helping each other. We are, seeing each other grow. And then we get to fulfill each other's dreams by having this family, having our practice. It's just been really nice to meet your person.
I love that so much. And I love the analogy you used that you guys are at the base of a mountain and then climbing it, because I think that that's so important to have the same goals. I was speaking to a self-help advocate on another episode, and I was using the analogy that relationships are like your trains going on the same track, maybe not on the same you're on the same track, but sometimes you go in different directions, but you're always going to meet at the same stop. But if it doesn't work, and I was using my own relationship as an example, sometimes you're on different tracks on different planets, and so but that's very important that you're headed towards the same goal, going in the same direction. Sometimes you'll stop a little further and before, but you always catch up, and I think that that's very important in a relationship.
And I think some people realize that they start out at base together, of a mountain, and then they're climbing and they realize they're oh, you're a little further away. And then they realize, oh my goodness, we were at the same base camp, but all of a sudden we're climbing the two different mountains, and you still like them, but it's but I'm trying to go here and this person's trying to go there, and you're just okay, we'll never meet again because we've already taken so many, every day is a different path. And so when you make so many decisions towards your own goals, sometimes you separate. And so I'm glad that we're still and hopefully forever climbing the same mountain.
Oh, I know you will.
It's a very hard mountain. It is very steep. It's not easy to be, a chiropractor sometimes. Sometimes, people just don't understand it but it's very fulfilling and we love it. And I would have done it over and over again. So.
I love it so much. This is a good segue into a motherhood topic. How do you balance it all? Because you really do balance it all. And she bakes her own bread. I've killed so many sourdough starters. I can't.
So I bake my own bread, yes, but now I've leveled up my game a little bit. I laugh, and Dr. Grayson laughs at me, and my best friends laugh at me because every once in a while I just need to make my life difficult for some reason. So now I'm milling my own flour, okay? I'm milling my own flour. So it can be as easy as just baking sourdough. I have to mill my own flour. I'm choosing einkorn berries, which are the ancient grain. I'm doing rye mixes. I'm also thinking about growing my own wheat.
Oh my God, I love it.
It's just, I'm that person, And so, motherhood, gosh, I have 3 babies. I have a 4-year-old girl, I have a 2-year-old girl, and a 4-month-old baby boy. How do I balance it all? I have a lot of help. Right now, my mom is here helping us clean up a little bit. So I really depend on my mom, and I love having my mom for my sake, but also my children's sake, because I love that they're growing up with their grandma and that Polish European culture, and I love bringing it into my home. We also have, as of now, almost 2 years, we have an au pair living with us. So we have a young girl from Europe, from Poland, who lives with us, who helps us about 45 hours a week. So when I get to go to work, she stays behind with the girls. I bring the boy with me because he's still being breastfed, but she also comes to the office sometimes with me to help me with baby boy. So I depend on a lot of people that I trust to help me work. But since choosing chiropractic care, have decided that the reason, I'm a woman, right? I want to have a career. I'm very career driven, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my children and my family life for my career. So in choosing chiropractic, I wanted to really have a good balance between work and home life. So I am choosing to work only part-time, which is about 3 to 5. Sometimes on Saturdays I do 8 hours, maybe even more of being away at the office, away from my kids. But I am choosing to work less and even make less just to be with my kids, just so they don't all of a sudden wake up and say, wow, mom's been gone for a few years. So I want to be at home with them. I want to cook all the meals. I want to spend time with them. I want to develop them. So It is a conscious effort on how I plan my days and my work schedule, but I do want to have my children remember that mommy was home and mommy cooked every meal for the most part, and that she milled her own flour.
Baked your own bread.
Yeah, but even just with the baking bread part, I used to be like a nanny for kids, and the mom, who was a French woman from France, she would sometimes have this bread, that she would make, and I remember serving it to her kids, and I'm like, wow, what a beautiful thing that these children get to grow up with bread, And my dad was actually a baker. He was a head baker of a bread, like a big bakery that would, put all the bread out in Poland. And so I remember growing up with fresh bread, and I said, it's such a core memory for me, and it is such a warm, beautiful thing that I grew up with, and I see others growing up with. And I said, so I would love to give that to my children. I'm going to, carve out time, make the effort to make them fresh, good bread. And because we know that wheat may be not the best quality at this day and age, and it might not be great for your health. So I said, okay, so I'm gonna, do sourdough, I'm going to ferment it. And now I'm like, how can I make it even better? Can I mill my own flour? Can I make it fresher? Can I have all the nutrients still locked in? Can I have like the freshest flour possible? Can I upgrade
I love it.
the strain of flour that I'm using? So I'm constantly trying to like a wholesome, warm environment for my kids. So like the smell of fresh bread in the morning is something they live with every day, and then I get to make it healthy, So that's like super important to me, and I
think it's so amazing.
I love that we get to do that for them.
I think it's so admirable when I see on Instagram you posting these and they're not even like simple loaves. They're like beautiful, extravagant like loaves with like herbs, and they just you could almost smell it through like Instagram. And I'm just like, oh my God, I've killed 5 sourdough starters, and I need to level up my game.
To help you, actually, in the office now, I think I'm like giving out a sourdough starter or 2 a week, because I've been asking people about bread, and all these ladies are like, yes, I really want to bake. I'm like, okay, I'll give you a sourdough starter, but just part of the sourdough journey, the first 2 years, that you have to kill minimum like 10 starters and like not make it work. That was my journey. I could not.
Oh, so I'm halfway through. Okay, good.
You're halfway through. Yeah, don't worry. It's just part of it. You have to like learn to remember about it and to like care for it. And I will say, if not for my au pairs, who basically do a lot of the baking prep for me, it would be hard for me to sustain also. So I get a lot of help. They help me mill, they help me make the like mix the ingredients a lot of times. So yeah, I rely on people to help me. It's not just all me. I'm not that hippie,
I learned that I need to ask for help too, because now with starting this podcast and writing my books, and I have to carve out time. Where my first book, it was like, I always say it was magical. I was just like feverishly typing on my phone in the middle of the night, and I think I was just so delusionally tired. I didn't know what I was doing, and I think it's better sometimes because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, with your true intuition just flowing. Yeah.
Just flowing, and it was just so quick and like it was magical, really. And then now you can't schedule creativity, but I have to a little bit, and I have to like carve out time for when I do have help, because I'm alone a lot of the time with my son, and I'm a stay-at-home mom first, and I'm doing all my creative projects second. It's hard balancing it all though, just carving out time, and you're on other people's schedules, so it's like, okay, can my mom come this day, or can my mother-in-law, for all intents and purposes, come and watch my son? And
it is really hard, because you are on other people's schedules, and so you want to honor when they show up, how they show up, and want to make sure that they're you're not interfering too much. And so I understand that very well, because I'm playing with that idea all the time. My mom is just, for example, today, this is not the regular time she comes in for, but she could come in the morning, and I say, yes, please help us whenever. So then it happens that I have a podcast and Grayson has help, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. But it's all about a village, and I'm so sad that we maybe don't have a bigger village here in America. I think in Europe, people grow up in true family villages where they get to have their immediate family live close by, so you get to rely on them a lot more. You have a lot more grandparents being involved, and then you have your cousins, which are like almost immediate, like they feel very close to you, and so you get to drop kids off, and it's very common in Europe. But I feel like in America, you really have to reach out to develop those relationships. It's not very it's not part of the culture maybe so much, but it's lovely for young moms, I think, to be able to have a lot of help early on, because I think it's healthy for the moms, it's healthy for the kids, it's healthy for the grandparents. I think we have evolved to always have our family and rely on them. And I think these mothers who do it all by themselves, clean, cook, they never have any help, drop off, pick up, all of this stuff. It's just insane.
It
Their
is.
schedules are so busy, and I don't think that we're meant to even process that much information in a day. Like, oh, pick up, drop off, shoes, this shoes, this shoes. Like, we've never had this much clothes, this many things, this many far distance to like drive places, this many choices at the grocery store. It's like we're just so overwhelmed with information and decision making. It's like I understand when women are burnt out, because wow, how can you not if you're constantly just, tabs open on your little brain computer and you just have to close, open, make sure that you are on your timeline to pick up kids and do all this stuff. And it's a lot for moms. So I'm so
It is.
grateful that we get help the way that you and I get help, and that we have people in our lives that like honestly love our kids and that
Yeah.
like would do the right thing.
Absolutely, that we have people that we can trust, which I think
Yeah.
is so important because a lot of people don't have that, especially single moms. I think about because, like, while I have a unique situation with my son's father right now, I'm still not like you said, I still have help and I'm still not alone, so to speak. And I think of like the single moms who are like completely alone, like don't have their parents, don't have friends, and don't have that village. It's sad.
Yeah, I think about a lot of times about military wives, because my
Yes.
husband has the military background, and he sometimes will mention, oh, in the military, the men are gone for deployment for 6 months, and these moms are by themselves, solo, no help, because they can't even afford help the way that their husbands are getting paid. So you're always pretty much dependent just on yourself, and they have, 3, 4, 5 kids sometimes, and I'm just like, how do you do it? Like, how do you get it all done? How do you get it done? I mean, even having your groceries delivered nowadays is a thing. Back 10 years ago, it wasn't even a thing. So you had to get your 5 kids dressed and go to the grocery store on like a Sunday and get it all done. It's a lot of strain on your time and creativity and all that stuff. But I wanted to just add in for the creativity component before I forget. You were saying that, you can't schedule creativity. And when I try to be creative, which again, it is scheduled creativity, because when do you have time? I'm trying to like do this stuff at night, when kids are in bed and you're just trying to, do something for yourself. It always helps me when I think to myself, okay, to make this project super epic, what would it have to be epic, and you have to get like excited about something. I think us moms, we have to sort of like power up our own excitement. I always prompt myself with questions like, what would it have to be super epic, super like exciting for me to work on this? And all of a sudden the juices start flowing in. But
Yes.
yeah, it's hard to create moments of genuine authenticity when you're on other people's time.
When you're scheduled, yes. And I love that tip, though. I'm going to use that for
Yeah.
myself when I need to write like my new book.
Yeah, because I think, and when you were writing your first one, you were just genuinely excited and you were just in that flow, but sometimes it's hard when you are, something has to get done and you're not genuinely excited, and then it's like, how do you prompt yourself to be in that space? And so I had to like develop a few questions to be like, okay, how do I position my mind to be open to that kind of output?
Yes.
And yeah, it helps.
Yeah, with my first book, I didn't even have like a lull like at all. Like I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And I think it was also I had my editor reading it chapter by my friend who's my editor reading it chapter by chapter, which I think helped like build the momentum. And now I'm like writing full drafts without having anybody read it. And so I have to be my, like you said, my own hype person. Like, and then you get to a point you're like, I'm bored right now. I skip to like I'm a person who skips around a lot. I can't stay still. You have to hype yourself up. So I'm gonna go back to this dull part. But why is it dull? And then that kind of like makes me think. I'm like, okay, well, if it's dull now, my readers are going to think it's dull, so I better work on this.
Yeah, what would it have to be super exciting?
Yes, I love that. That's good. That's going to be on my computer. Like I'm going to put a post-it, and I'm gonna yes.
And that's something that we've even, for motherhood, I'm trying to schedule more trips with the kids, even to the beach or to like a local lake or to a park. And I always think, okay, we're gonna go to the beach or we're gonna go to the just like a playground. What would it have to be for it to be super exciting? Okay, I'll bring like a fun something with me to work on, like or read, or I'll bring their favorite snacks. You just always are trying to say, okay, it doesn't maybe take a lot for it to be the best that it could be. What can I do like to create that, to bring that about.
Making that magic in like the mundane moments.
Yeah, I'm trying to be the best, what did I love that my mother did? I loved when my mother would bring me little fruit basket when I was watching TV, and she was just caring for me, right? Like thinking about me. So I'm trying to think like, okay, how do I create that for my kids? What would that, mother do for them to remember, and make that their core memories?
What would be one wellness tip you would give someone who's pretty busy, but they want to start taking charge of their health?
Food-wise?
Either way, whatever you think is gonna be the most bang for someone's buck.
Bang for buck. I think honestly, chiropractic care is amazing. I think we can, get with a chiropractor. They would help you to, sort of narrow in on the things that you need to be doing and maybe solve some of those things for you. And then the other one would be just cook your own food. I would say if you can just cook dinner or just breakfast or like really most of your meals throughout the day, if they are just homemade, not only are you being your best human self and cooking and spending the time and your focus on that, which is a human design. We are supposed to make our own food, right? We can't do a lot of the other things that humans are designed to do. We have been living with a fire, tending to a fire since beginning of time. This is like the third generation that's not doing fire, so that's new, right? We have a temperature controlled house, that's new, right? We're not outside all the time and just coming inside to sleep, that's new. Well, the only other thing that we have left is like food making. So if you can just make your own food and be in touch with your food, I think that is part of the human experience. And that is part of motherhood. And so I think if you can just make your own food and like fall in love with food making and creating that space for your children to see you, in that space, and then having them fall in love with food, I think that is the healthiest thing you can do. And I'll tell you a quick little story about my family, my own family. Dr. Grayson's grandmother was not a big cook. Okay, so she did not cook very much. It was that time in the 70s or whatever where like everything was kind of ready-made, so she was doing a lot of ready-made stuff. Her daughter didn't cook very much because of that, okay? And so her son therefore got like a lot of canned foods and things like that. So now he has ulcerative colitis. He has lost his colon, okay? So he has now a colostomy bag. And how did that start? It started with the grandmother who's not interested in cooking, who then could not teach her own daughter, and then the daughter not cooking for her son, and now her son is paying the repercussions of a family culture that has developed where there's no good ingredients at the table. And so now he was eating all these things that are fast processed and he's allergic to, and boom, his health is like horrible right now, horrible. So just cooking for your kids is not helping your kids, it's helping their kids and their kids after that. It is a multicultural thing that you're passing on, and that health that you're trying to create is not only for you and it's not only for your kids, but it goes further down the line. So I think that if we just realize that cooking is part of the human experience and you spend some time doing it, you can't run away from it, you have to do it, then you will really prosper.
I think that that's such an important story, and thank you for sharing it, and I'm sorry about Dr. Grayson's brother.
It's okay.
That's very sad. I think that that is so true, because I know even with my own self, like when I was very stressed out last year, I was ordering a lot of food. I would cook for my son, like homemade and everything. But then at night, when he went to sleep and like we go back to that, like it's important to have, our own things at night to make us feel like, a person again. And I would order food thinking like, because food's always been a bit of a comfort for me, and I'm working through that. I did like, a lot of different like neurofeedback therapies and stuff like that for that. But nevertheless, I would order food, and then I realized such a difference in my digestion. I gained so much weight, and my mental health was horrible just by ordering that one meal out. So I could totally see where like it goes wrong, and it can go wrong.
Yeah, it's just create good culture about food, because you have to eat all day. Like we have to eat every day. So just try to change it little bit by little bit. It takes a lot of time, but 2, 3, 5 years down the line, you're all of a sudden milling your own flour. You're there. You're doing something right. You're at least having healthy bread. And then we still order out sometimes. But I will say like 80% of the time we are eating really clean, and then I get to have my pad thai and vanilla ice cream, and you have to balance that.
Exactly, finding a balance. I mean, I love going out to dinner, but I think ordering in every night was really bad for like, and it was really like greasy, like, bad choices. Like if I'm going to a nice Italian restaurant or like a nice like hibachi, like I don't mind that. Or like Mexican food. Like I love going out to eat. My son loves going out to eat too. He's like you know him. He's like a little man.
He is such an old soul. I love it.
Thank you.
Since he was like a baby, he was just like, you can see in his eyes, he was like an old soul, which I think I'm an old soul too. So whenever I
Me
see
too.
those kids in my office, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love it. I love
Yes.
experiencing them, you know?
My last and final question: if your life was a story, what chapter would this be?
You know, it's funny you frame it this way because I always think about it as a book and as chapters. And I sometimes think, oh my gosh, my undergrad chapter or my high school chapter was so many chapters ago. It feels like I am so busy and I'm doing so much and I'm creating so much that it seems like I have so many chapters. And I'll tell you that I hope I'm still in the beginning fourth of my book, because I have so many goals and so many things that I'm dreaming up. And sometimes I think, oh my gosh, what if I'm halfway through? I have to like make the other half so good. But I feel like my intuition tells me that I'm like in the beginning of my story, you
I
know, like
love that.
I always say this is my mom era, my young children era, you know, I'm in my young mom stage. And so I love it. I love every page of it. I love writing it. I'm trying to like, really, create a good story there. But yeah, I still have so many things that I want to do that so I hope that it's just the beginning of it, and I love so far the first part. So I'm just hoping that the later parts will be just as good to me, honestly. I'm so grateful for all that I've had in the beginning of my life. There were many, many challenges, but I love all of them. I think we grow through challenges. So I hope that the last parts of my book are about, I think of myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to have this like Martha Stewart life. I just want to be like stressing about my garden, baking my own bread and making food and like having my grandchildren come to me and like serving my office. I want to build a new practice where we have this like beautiful office with like many practitioners and there's a big backyard for kids to run around and like a big playground, and I want to have like garden beds in my office so people can like take some vegetables home, and I would just
I
love to
love
create
it.
this like homestead practice,
This is
so
so
I'm like,
cool.
I still have to manifest that. And then, yeah, I think there's still a lot to come. So I'm excited about where I am right now, and even more excited about what hopefully will be built in the future.
I know it will be amazing because you are amazing, and
Thank you.
you talk about energy, and you always give me a good energy. I feel like you are just a light, definitely a light in this world, and I'm so
Thank
grateful to
you.
have you in my life, and I'm so grateful that you came on this podcast and can share your light with everybody who's listening.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, I can't wait to chat with you at the office.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
For more information about the Gonstead method and more information on Dr. Kat, follow her on Instagram at Saluto Chiro. That's SALUTO Chiro, or at salutagenesischiropractic.com. Thanks for listening to Storytelling with Stephanie. If you liked today's episode, be sure to follow, leave a quick review, and share it with a friend. I'll be back next week with more stories. Until then, keep living your truth and rewriting your own story.